Hello, everybody. Long time no see. I know. Now, yes, I know. Ew, furry, gross. uh, we can go ahead and get that out of the way. I know. Ew, gross. I'm gonna be sick too. I was already sick, but I'll be even more sick than before. I know it's terrible. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Um, Rest assured, this is not going to be a common sight on this channel unless you want it to be. I mean, if you do, just let me know down below, and sure, we can do more videos in fursuit. I don't see why not. Um, yeah, there are a few reasons though why I'm doing this video as Anatole the Wolf and not as Anatole, the person who normally runs this channel. Um, And the main reasons being that although right now at this very second I'm fully in the clear to go over everything that I am going to discuss today, there is a possibility that in the, you know, either distant or not too distant future that I will be back in the same position I was in when I had to take the videos down that we'll be discussing today. And for that reason, I just don't think that I should be showing my face on camera with videos attached to such subjects. That's just not a good idea. From what I've been able to from what I've been able to gather, anyways. So that's why we're doing this video in fursuit. Because I mean, there are other alternatives. I could have just gotten the camera on a tripod and faced it at the wall directly behind you, but I don't think you'd want to see me talking into the void for a while. That would be boring, and I don't think you want to see the camera pointed at me with the YouTube blur either. So this is kind of something that meets in the middle. From experience, the audio out of this head's actually pretty good, so hopefully you should hear me clearly there. If not, I will find a way to enhance it, I assure you. Um, yeah, I'm sorry if it makes you sick. Remember that the trash can is always right here if you need it. Um, yeah, so we got quite a bit to go over. This is going to be a long one. I'm just going to let you know right now, probably 30-45 minutes. So I'm sorry for the length. I'm trying to make it go as fast as I can too, I assure you. You may be wondering where I'm filming this, and it's just my multi-million-dollar apartment here in Frisco. Definitely not just an unrenovated room at the Hilton Granite Park. That hotel does not exist. It is my condo. Definitely not just a suite. Um, Fun fact, this is actually probably the only time we're ever going to see the hotel in this state, too. So we're actually getting a last time look. How fitting. Anyways, before we dive into anything else, I do want to let you know as well that all the April Fool's stuff, the trailer, all that stuff, completely fake. Elevators are not coming back. Don't listen to any rumors. You're hearing it from the source right here, right now. Elevators are not coming back. All those videos were additionally done with the permission from the building. I didn't just run in the building in my fursuit and start taking pictures, or out of fursuit going in and taking pictures. That is trespass, and we don't endorse that at this channel. I know that trespass is one of those really complicated things. We could discuss that more later. I do also want to say I'm just a big fluffy wolf on the internet, not a lawyer. So if you don't take this as legal advice, nothing in this video is intended as legal advice per my lawyers. If you feel you need legal advice, I would recommend speaking to a lawyer and or someone in the judicial system, and that is not this big and fluffy wolf. So with that all out of the way, I also do want to say that this is not a call-out video. No names are going to be mentioned today. Most of the things I'm talking about happened a long time ago anyways, so I'm sure these people have already called themselves out or have been called out or will be called out in the future. Karma does catch up, so I don't think that there is a reason why I should give out names. That's really not my job to call out people. If somebody wants to call themselves out or somebody wants to call somebody out, they are more than welcome to do that on their own. And any messages in regards to asking for names will be ignored and or declined. So I just want to get that out of the way as well. Yeah. So with all that junk out of the way that I have to do, I do want to say that I guess we'll go ahead and give the quick reason for the people who probably just want to go vomit from looking at a furry or something. So yeah, here, I'll give it to you in 4 steps because I have 4 fingers on my paw here. Number 1, I was looking for a job at the time. Number 2, I found a place that was willing to hire me Number 3, I decided the elevators videos weren't appropriate, and I decided to delete them. And 4, that was the right call because they were deleted and I haven't had any problems. So, yeah, there you go. That's the reason. All done. You can go get a trash can. You can go throw up. Or if you're so inclined, if you need to do your recyclables, I highly recommend doing that as well. Don't throw up in there, though. That's not recyclable. We're done. You can click away now. Go purify yourself or something. I don't know. For the rest of us, let's continue forward. Or for those who are trying to do some weird kind of challenge to see how long it takes for them to vomit from looking at furries, which if that's the case, good luck. I recommend taking some Pepto-Bismol as well. That might help you. Yeah, so let's get on with the video here. I guess first, for those who are coming here not knowing what happened in the past, from 2015 till about 2017, I had a little interest in elevators. It was one of those things that, I had a little bit of an interest when I was younger. It kind of peaked in 2016, I would like to say. It's a very interesting world, at least at the time. It's a lot of people wouldn't understand it, but it's like vintage cars. Like, every car is different, every elevator is different. You have different brands. At the time, I just found it interesting and wanted to see something from a lot of these brands. So I kind of went off and started looking for them, and that started my YouTube channel. Later on, I kind of lost interest and just kind of kept going at it until 2022, when I just had enough and couldn't take it anymore, and I just pulled the plug. And then in 2023, I ended up deleting all the videos, and we became more of a hotel channel that occasionally does furry shit, but that's more on my furry channel. But like, sometimes it's not. It's a weird system, but it works. So you know what? If it works, we're good. Before Anatole, I had a different name. I changed it. I am not particularly happy with that era of my life at this moment, so I've kind of tried to ditch all that stuff behind. A lot of negativity happened then. I have since found a lot of positivity. So that's kind of the background here. I'm sure some people were wondering, so there you go. This video in specific is going to go more into why I deleted the elevator videos, and just more reasons on why I decided to take that exit out, as a whole. A lot of the stuff is personal, and it took a while to make it less personal. And that's why this isn't like the full video or anything. I'm not saying this is 100% of the reasons. I'm also not saying it's a single person or action, because it really wasn't. We'll go over more of that later. But it was a decision nonetheless that I made, and there are quite a few big reasons why, and I think that we should definitely discuss them as well. Yeah, so with all that out of the way, I think we can finally go into reason 1. Let me scroll down here. I got like a prompt over here on my screen, but I can't use the scroll wheel on my mouse with my paws on, so I gotta take my paw off and scroll down. Okay. Yeah, so getting back into the main reasons here, really it's actually mostly number 1, but honestly all these reasons kind of are like a big circle that lead into each other, so we'll just go over them all. If you want more reasons, you can find my 2022 video as well. But the main reason, like 99% of why I decided to kind of leave, was employment. I know that I haven't really discussed this with anybody. This has been personal stuff, and now it's kind of getting to the point where I can discuss it because I'm, moving on in life and all that stuff. So I know some people knew this, but others probably don't. I have wanted to go into hotels for a very long time. I went into hotel school in 2021, and I've always loved hotels, and eventually that passion, woke up inside of me, and I decided that, I no longer just wanted to be the person who was staying in the hotels. I also wanted to be someone who was working within the industry. Since I love the industry, I love the hotels, I just wanted to pitch in and keep it, where it is. And in 2023, I had gotten to a point in my curriculum where I had done pretty much all of my courses that I need to do, passing most of them with A's. unrelated detail, but just to put into point that I care about this stuff. So eventually, I got to the point in my curriculum where, I still have more classes to take, but at this point, it was finally time to start getting some personal experience in the industry and start my career. Now, I know a lot of you probably haven't started job hunting yet. Others, I'm sure you either have a job or are in the process of job hunting, but pretty much, I kind of just felt that the whole elevator thing just wasn't appropriate for my career. And we'll go over why. I think the biggest reason is that 90% of the time, an elevator is going to be located on private property. Now, if you're going on private property unsolicited without a reason, that's considered trespass. Now, trespass is one of those things where it's technically not illegal if it's not enforced, but at the same time, you still probably shouldn't be doing it because, like, you can get in trouble for that. Now, there are a ton of cards that I've seen people play over the years, and honestly, most of them do not have merit. But, trespass is just one of those things where if you're caught with it and you get in a lot of trouble, it's just not good, and I didn't really want to risk that. I have a good career going right now. I love my job. I don't want to lose it. So I didn't want to have any of that on there, any of that negativity up there. There are other problems as well, but, trespass is just not one of those things that I really want on my record because, in a hotel, I can tell you from my experience working at one of the big four hospitality companies is that trespass is not taken lightly. We very deeply care about the safety and security of all of our guests. It doesn't matter who they are. They could be the most famous celebrity on earth. They could just be some random person who's looking for a room for the night. It doesn't matter. Their safety is something that's always in our undivided attention. And, if someone's coming into the building and we don't know about it and they're trespassing on our property, it is policy in most properties, including the one I've been with for a while now, and all the ones I've interned with in the past and have done task force in as well. So it's almost always been a policy that if you're trespassing and caught, you're kicked out and the police are called. That's just standard procedure. I can actually tell you in the handbook for this big hotel company, it actually states in the handbook clearly if someone is caught trespassing, we are supposed to call the police and have you trespass from the property. Obviously, there are loopholes in that. I mean, if you're visiting somebody or attending a convention the hotel has, that's different. But if you're just going in there looking at the elevator, that's just trespass. And actually, at my property, we have caught a few people attempting to go on our elevators, and they were kicked out, and we called the police. At that point, we let the police department handle it as they will. We're not a very big property, a couple floors only, so the elevators aren't really a tourist attraction, but it's still been a problem, and we definitely don't appreciate it. It's one of those things where if you're going in a building like that, it's just disrespectful. And I don't really want to be showing off that I do that behavior, because I don't. I have since discontinued that. I have not been in a building exclusively to look for an elevator in over 4 years now. And I don't plan to resume that either. The only time, obviously, I'll use an elevator is if I'm a guest in the hotel, I'm visiting someone in a hotel, I'm visiting someone elsewhere, or I have a legitimate reason to be on property. If not, I will not visit. Nor do I even care that much about elevators, so usually I'll just pass them up anyways. But anyways, trespass wasn't something I wanted on my channel. It's not a behavior that's endorsed here. I highly recommend getting permission rather than just running into someone's building and getting on the elevator. That is a bad idea. And again, not recommended by Anatole. Nor is it, I don't condone that, none of that. Unfortunately, since most elevators, like I said, are in private property, the elevator community is pretty much trespass, and that was a problem. And that was one of the reasons why I deleted those videos. But that isn't the only reason. There's also problems in the community, and I think we should go over those as well. So in part 2 here, we will go more into the community problems and discuss that as well. So I will see you guys in part 2, which for you will be 2 seconds. For me, will probably be 15 minutes or so. Now, going more into the community here and discussing more about it, I'm sure you guys are wondering more about the elevator community, or for those who already know, I'm sure you already know. most of the problems with it. Yeah, it is a pretty small community out there. I wouldn't say it's any bigger than most small fan groups. Obviously, with the only community, with me not really being involved in any communities, with the furry fandom being the biggest thing I'm involved with currently. Yeah, the other community is not even close. The other community is no more than maybe 250, like 250 people, not 250,000, 250. Um, I think now it's bigger than before simply because more people are having access to computers and like cameras and stuff. Because nowadays you don't need a camera like this anymore to film an elevator. Now you can film an elevator with basically anything. I mean, this is a premium option, yes, but you don't necessarily need it. You can use something as simple as a cell phone nowadays to film an elevator. I mean, honestly, nowadays, let me see, where's my example? Honestly, a phone like this will shoot video comparable to that of what you could get from a fancier camera back in the day. So honestly, nowadays, with technology being more accessible and the fact that everybody has access to a computer pretty much or a phone, there's a lot more people now than there was before. Unfortunately, though, unlike some other communities, the other community seems to be overrun with drama. Now, I'm not going to say that other communities are drama free. That's just the internet. There's going to be drama no matter where you go. I mean, there's no shortage anywhere. In the furry fandom, there is drama too. But the thing is, I would say that there's less drama there than there was in the elevator community. And part of that's just because when you have hundreds of thousands, millions of people who are interested in that stuff, yeah, there's going to be drama, probably a few situations a day. But the thing is, the community's so big, it tends to be more isolated than, like, yes, there are big dramas that go everywhere. But for smaller things, honestly, they tend to be more isolated, and as well as that, since they're more isolated, most of the time, it doesn't make it out past that circle. It kind of just dissipates in there. And unless you're really trying to get involved into every single drama that you can find, it won't even touch you. Unlike the elevator community, where you could be 10 miles away from it and you'll still get drama just because someone sees you're into elevators and they just bring you into it. There are plenty of examples of times when I was active in the community or I was in a couple hangouts groups and people would still bring drama over. Like, I wasn't even involved and people were still bringing drama over. That's actually kind of why I left Google Hangouts, just because of how much drama was on it. And that's just not negativity you need in your life. I have firsthand seen people in the community being brought to their worst states because of the amount of drama, and that's just not okay. Um, People shouldn't be degrading themselves because all this drama is leading them to do all kinds of things. Man, I've seen people get affected by this drama and they go do things that they'll regret or that can get them in jail, and that's just not okay. Um, and honestly, I think the way that people treat this is just no. It just causes problems, and I'm not saying that it's one person's fault, because I think when you have a bunch of people who maybe have trouble with conversations and all that stuff, get into fights. Unfortunately, it does happen more often when people have trouble with conversations or when there's a clash. And unfortunately, that's what leads to all these problems. So it's just the nature of the way the community is. Unfortunately, I don't think you can fix it. Um, but, with all people trying to bring this stuff into my life, and honestly, I just decided to leave at that point. Or I didn't leave, but, it was like, there have been times when people brought me into dramas that were very stupid. Obviously, at the time, I just decided to pull the plug on things and walk off for a while, because it wasn't worth my time. But it's still a problem now, and honestly, it's just not something I want to be affiliated with at all. And the unfortunate truth of the matter is that if you have elevator videos on your channel, you're going to be seen as part of the community. I mean, you can say a trillion times, I am not part of the community, I just do this as a hobby, blah, 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 blah. People are still going to think you're in the community, and they're still going to bring you into their drama. And that's not something I want. Because, like I said, not good for you. I don't want that negativity in my life. I don't need it either. I have other things to put my time and effort into. So, yeah, no, I'm good. I'll pass on the drama. But unfortunately, that does happen. Um, there is also problems with crime in the community. We've already gone over trespass, but trespass is a problem. I have also seen breaking and entering quite a bit, where I don't know if the people are necessarily aware that they're committing a crime like that, but they're doing it and they can go to jail for it. And I have heard of people going to jail for it. You know, when it comes to trespass and breaking and entering, it's a really fine line between committing one or the other, and committing breaking and entering is worse than trespass, trust me. Because breaking and entering is where you bypass something or someone who has been put in place to prevent you from going somewhere. And I have seen people firsthand bypassing card readers on elevators, hitching rides with people, which is breaking and entering. I have seen people going into staff only areas or designated staff only areas to bypass or get on an elevator or stairwell that bypasses these security measures. And in the United States of America, anyways, that is a felony and you can go to jail for it. Now, in other countries, that may be different. I know in like the United Kingdom, their law system works differently and it's not a criminal matter. But this isn't the United Kingdom where I'm based out of, and my employer isn't based out of there either. So, in America, it is a felony and it's not something I want to be toying with. Now, I have also seen people encouraging others who maybe don't have the ability to make these choices and weigh them for themselves to also partake in behaviors like this, and that is not okay. That's because at that point, if that person you told to do it gets caught, you're now an accomplice in that crime, because you're the one who told them to do it. You may not go to jail for it, but you do run that risk. And I will say, I have been misled into doing things like this as well, going in service elevators. That was the second I learned the errors of these ways, I immediately discontinued the behavior, and disclaimers were added to all those videos while they were on the channel stating that I don't condone that behavior and I highly recommend getting permission before you attempt to recreate anything. And that's kind of been my stance ever since. Yeah, I don't condone trespass. I highly recommend getting permission no matter what. I do not recommend trespassing or breaking and entering for obvious reasons. And yeah. I know that I had friends who did that too, and they too have discontinued that behavior upon realizing that was not right. I know some of the big channels do this as well, and honestly, it's unfortunate that disclaimers aren't being put in there, because honestly, it is one of those things that I don't think should be so widely accepted, and that people just do it. That's not right. I mean, if you get permission, of course, you can do it as much as you want if they said you could. But without permission, I think that there needs to be change there, because it looks super inappropriate from the outside. Let me just tell you that, and trust me, if you want buildings to be friendlier towards you, maybe you don't want to post that online. Just saying. Then again, I'm just a big fluffy wolf on the internet, so... The one issue, though, I can talk about, because I've seen it firsthand, is the bullying in the community. I have firsthand seen some people, which, in the elder community, I guess I forgot to go over this earlier, a lot of the people there are neurodivergent, or they're on the spectrum, or they have other learning differences. And, you know, when you have learning differences like that, or are neurodivergent on the spectrum, etc., sometimes the ability to communicate is impaired. Sometimes you don't have the ability to weigh choices on your own. Sometimes you don't know how to necessarily start a conversation. Or sometimes you have trouble weighing in what's considered respectful or disrespectful. Now, although, yes, there are certainly ways to get around that, and there's certainly things that the parents should probably be doing to mitigate problems like that. You know, it's not always in someone's best interest, or maybe they don't have the financial means to cover that, so I can't blame it on the person who does it. It's not their fault. It's more the way that they were not taught things like that, because, you know, I had trouble with communication when I was younger. I am very fortunate to have had some people who uh, taught me early on how the social system works and how all that stuff functions. And I'm also very fortunate to have some great teachers as well when I was younger who taught me the English language and also structures on it. And although my grammar spoken isn't always the best, I'm generally pretty good at typed grammar, so that's something. And I think if it weren't for their teachings, I wouldn't be where I am today. I am incredibly grateful for having gotten those teachings and for all the people who made such positive differences on my life. Not everyone gets that experience though, and rather than the community having a stance of, hey, you know what, I understand, let's try to work this out in a mature way. Instead, the way that it's normally worked out is, hey, you piece of shit, stop re uploading my videos and go to hell. I've seen people say things like that. I'm not even kidding. The most recent example I can think of bullying was in 2020 and 2019. There was this one guy, very high up on the spectrum, and what he would do is he would get out his phone and play someone else's elevator video on it. And then he had a camera, like this one, and he would film it back, but he would add his own narration over it and pretend he was riding the elevator in the video. Sounds innocent enough, but the part where it became a problem was that when it comes to the elevator community, honestly, re-uploading someone's elevator video is kind of like tracing someone's artwork in the furry community. It's frowned upon and not exactly a positive thing. Though rather than just saying, hey, you know, can you not do that? I kind of find that disrespectful, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or doing the other method and just filing a copyright takedown request. Instead, these people thought it'd be a good idea to insult and berate this person until their parents eventually got involved. And their parents, if I recall correctly, put out some message calling everyone out. And then all the big channels immediately followed suit and were like, hey, this is not okay, so on and so forth. So at least action was taken, but it's still unfortunate that this stuff happened. And as well as that, there was another channel who wasn't as big. I'd say maybe a couple thousand subscribers. I don't think they're as active as they used to be. But they made a channel mocking some other people in the community who come off as annoying to them because they, I don't know, maybe don't know how to have a conversation and they like to ping people in their descriptions of dedications or something. And they were making videos mocking this person. They weren't narrating in them, but they were still mocking them. They were going on channels and commenting things to mock them. I think they commented on my channel like once. It was almost instantly deleted. But I remember someone told me who was running that channel a while back. I can't confirm nor deny the source of this information for obvious reasons, because I no longer have contact to that person. But regardless, I heard the channel that was running it, and you know, this is a channel that most people would consider pretty professional. I thought it was disgusting, honestly. While everyone over here was laughing about it, I thought it was nasty. I mean, who in their right mind would think it's funny to make fun of people who are challenged mentally or neurodivergent or on the spectrum? That's not okay. You know, I don't find it funny. As a matter of fact, I found it quite the opposite, very offensive. And although those people maybe didn't take offense to it because they didn't understand quite what was going on, that still doesn't make it right. And that left a bitter taste in my mouth. And to this day, I still think it's pretty gross. The channel's still up. I'm sure you can find it. It's got like 2 videos on it. Thankfully, it seems they have abandoned that. Hopefully, because they realized it was disgusting and not just because they got bored. Though, yeah, that's unfortunately all still pretty prevalent in the community. The last problem, though, saving the best for last, of course, is the community's problem with theft. I don't know what that was, but someone's making some noise out in the hallway. Sorry about that. Anyways, if you've ever been on an elevator, I'm sure you've noticed that the plates on them are pretty well attached to the building, and so is everything else. You know, you can't really take apart an elevator, take it home, and set it up. It doesn't work that way. And it can be done, but you're not going to be able to do it without being caught, most likely, since someone will come around before you're done taking it all apart. Though I will say though that I have seen people personally taking parts off of elevators. Now, they didn't take the whole elevator home, but I saw, for example, there were two cases that I witnessed. Both of them were ripping off a data or capacity plate off of a fully operational elevator, which these plates are important for a variety of reasons. The elevator cannot legally operate without them, which rendered both elevators they did this to illegal. And both of them had to get new data plates, and it was, I assume, not very cheap. Actually, one elevator got completely replaced after that was done. The other is still around, I think, but I don't know. I haven't checked up on it, and I have no plans to either. Yeah, I've seen it happen. The people I saw doing it were also some of the biggest channels in the community. Not giving out names, but they're pretty prevalent. I have no reason to believe that they have continued this behavior. I think they have since been steered in the right direction, so whatever, but still, I thought it was really gross, and after the second time I requested to be taken home, which they did honor that request, so they knew I didn't like it, and they didn't show me more, per my request, so I can't fault them for that. Regardless, it was still not right. I've also heard of people stealing from abandoned buildings. Again, can't verify that claim. I personally don't go in abandoned buildings. I know people who urbex abandoned buildings, but I don't necessarily go in abandoned buildings. So yeah. I know, probably a lot to digest, but there's one more reason. One more. And we'll go over that in part 3 right now. Alright, now going to part 3 here, I think the last part is just lack of interest. Like I said in the beginning here, when I was younger, I definitely had an interest and it was definitely there, but as I got older, I kind of outgrew it and it's kind of just gone there. I think part of the reason why the interest even lasted as long as it did was just because of all the people I managed to meet in the end. When I was younger, I didn't have many friends. I had a couple friends, but none of them really shared an interest with me. And trust me, when you meet a friend for the first time who has a similar interest to you, it's truly amazing. Because most people, it's just hard when you're not interested in the same thing. I mean, I still have some friends and such, but even they, we didn't kind of click on that level, if you know what I mean. And when I met OPG at the time, or I think City Place 2711 now as he goes, at the time I think he was OPG 1851 or 1651, I think that was what he used to go by. He was another filmer in the Dallas area for a while. We actually went to the same high school for a year, and that's how we met. Well, it's a long story, but anyways, we met and we became really good friends really quickly. And to this day, we're still pretty close of friends. Obviously, we no longer do YouTube. Well, he is completely quit, and I just do hotels nowadays. But hotels and other crap, but mostly hotels and furry shit. That's about it. Yeah, though, he's kind of went his own direction. We're still close, though. I mean, we still talk a lot. But back then, I would say our golden era was 2017. I still had a lot, even though my interest was kind of going down or gone by 2017. I mean, it was still fun hanging out, though, and seeing all the places we did. That, honestly, is what I consider the gold era, when we were going all over the place, just having a grand old time. Obviously, yes, mistakes were made. No, we probably shouldn't have trespassed, but we didn't understand back then. And obviously now with that understanding, all those videos are gone. But at the time, it was fun. We all, that was kind of our golden era. And honestly, I still look back fondly on times like that. But at the time, eventually I made some other friends as well who had similar interests, and eventually I kind of got my own group going. And at the time, I was scared to leave because I had nothing. I didn't know where to go or how my friends at the time would have processed that, you know, given that I only knew people in elevators and I didn't even know where to go back then. Because in 2018, I didn't even know furries were a thing. And trust me, I probably wouldn't have gone there on my own. It's a long story how I got into this stuff. It was mostly one of my friends' doings. Well, actually, multiple of my friends' doings, but it's a long story. Maybe one day I'll tell that story if there's enough interest. But regardless, yeah, this is like 2018 at this point. Obviously, just getting out of that golden era. Well, nowadays looking back, I kind of consider that like the end of the golden era going into the classic era into 2019, because that's kind of where the ball started rolling down the hill. But that was where it all started. In 2018, a family member and I went to a hotel. Now, this was my first time going to a hotel in years. My family had stopped traveling for whatever reason. I think that they just didn't like dealing with the packing, unpacking, you know. For me, I love to travel. I've always loved going out. You know, packing and unpacking isn't such a big deal unless I'm trying to pack and unpack like 2 days apart. That's kind of annoying. But obviously, I love traveling. I love seeing new sights. I still got a lot to see and do. And I'm trying to cross things off my bucket list. So I was really excited when they offered to take me along in the summer of 2018. We went and stayed at the Moody Gardens Hotel in Galveston. It's not owned by any hotel company. It's kind of independent. I have a couple reviews of that place. I definitely recommend the 2022 one. Do not watch the 2018 one. It's terrible. But then again, I made that video like, gosh, it's crazy to think it's like 6-7 years ago now. That's insane. Though yeah, inside of me, that was kind of when I said, you know what, I think I know where I want to go. But at the same time, I felt really down because, you know, it was a conflicting point. A lot of people are going to be like, well, how is that conflicting? You found something new. And honestly, it doesn't work like that. You know, I didn't know where to go. At the time, I was scared I'd get retaliation from trying to move to hotels. And at the time, I still wasn't going to hotels all that often. So I would only be able to upload maybe once or twice a year, which for me, I love uploading videos, okay? Like, I'm the kind of person, I like to put my content out there. I don't care if people watch it or not. I just like putting it out there. And for me, although I could have survived, I definitely could have survived, I still wanted to post things, so I stuck to elevators a bit longer. Was that the best idea? No. Should I have done the yearly uploads? Yes. But regardless, I went down the same path I was going down. A lot of things were also changing in my life quite rapidly, and I was not ready for them. So I ended up feeling pretty down. Things improved a bit in 2019, only to go back down the toilet again in 2020. And that's kind of why I disappeared for a bit in 2020. I was just trying to rethink my life choices, find a new path to go down, and I emerged in 2021 with a new plan and a overall much more positive sentiment on life and outlook as well. I'm not going to say what happened in those years. A lot of it was, you know, rethinking all my life choices to where I'd gotten. One of my friends told me to go to a psychiatrist, and I did. I'll just put it that way. Obviously, I got out of that depression just fine, but yeah, there were some dark thoughts at the time. I had to get rid of them. Now, I don't have them anymore because I have since found new ways to fix those problems, but in 2021, I was ready to come back. Everyone was excited to see my return, but, you know, I think we went from a daily upload schedule, then in 2022, we cut it to like a bi-week, to like a couple days a week thing, then it got cut again to like 2 times a week or something. And then in 2022, a bunch of drama went down all at once, and at that point, I said, you know, we already had this plan long term to go out of elevators by 2023. Let's move it a year earlier to 2022 and just say we're done with it and go to hotels. In 2021, I took a massive summer trip, literally right before I came back, I think. And in 2022, I knew I was going to take another big summer trip. So I knew I'd be just fine working off. Because what I would do is I would film a hotel review, and then next month I would release it. So if I got 3 hotel reviews in a month, I was good. At this point, I also had another friend who, at the time, lived outside of Dallas, who would come down every few weeks. So I was able to get a hotel review out of his hotel as well. So by 2021, 2022, I actually had a solid stream of backlog coming in at the time. So I was happy. Now, eventually, in 2022, I decided to cut the elevator videos. I still had some hotel reviews and backlogs, so I was good at the time. Eventually, the decision was made just to upload whatever I had left in stock, and when it was out, we were out. There wasn't much left in there. It was about 50 videos, I think, because I had already been purging through backlog for a while. I wasn't even filming new stuff. It was all just backlog. In 2022, or 2021, early 22, I got this camera as well, which is now what all the hotel reviews are filmed with. And yeah, I filmed a few elevators with it, but then I primarily moved that camera over to be used in hotel reviews, and that's where it's been ever since. Yeah, though I eventually got to the point where I had more hotel reviews. 2022, we had another big vacation. 2022 was also the first time I went to a furry convention. In 2021, I would say that's kind of when the ball started rolling down. It was like this, we made this big joke plan that we were going to take somebody there and get their reaction, because I had a couple friends, or I had a friend who was going to that convention. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we invited another friend to join along and they didn't know? It was absolutely hilarious, if you were wondering. But that was kind of my first exposure. I didn't think much of it. Then 2023 came along, another giant vacation. Well, in May of 2023, things changed. Ironically, like a week before I went to Washington, D.C. And in December, I went to Chicago, went to MFF, and now it's history. Hotels are still always going to be something I love. I don't think I'm ever going to stop staying in them, because now, obviously, I have the funds to do staycations. I'm able to get out, and, I have a vehicle now. I can drive. I can explore the world. And, honestly, with how things are going now, I'm glad I left elevators when I did. When you get older, not every interest is going to last. This is part of life. Sometimes life works in unpredictable ways, and here, although we definitely took some interesting turns along the way, obviously I grew elevators and then went into something else. Yeah. Now, I don't want it to sound like my time in elevators were all negative, because it wasn't. I think we should also discuss some of the positives as well. First and foremost, all the amazing friends I made along the way. This has been a journey for sure. I have met a lot of amazing people, and I'm so fortunate to have so many amazing friends. In 2019, I made a good majority of my friends then. Obviously, now, here I am, and a lot of them are still my friends. Obviously, we have since changed, not doing elevators anymore. We've gone on to do things in other ways, but we still have interests that line up on certain areas, so we're still all good there. And yeah, I truly think those will be my friends for life. We've already done so much, and I think that we'll pull off even more in the future. I'm sure you've probably seen a few of my friends around on the channel before. I think they're all linked on my channel, so that's not all of them, of course, but it's quite a few of them. As well as that, obviously, one story I don't think I've ever told, actually, so not obviously, but one story I don't think I've ever told was back in 2019. I met Andrew and Jason. Andrew being the guy who started the elevator community. I think he's the second biggest channel in the community. Maybe he's the biggest now. I think there was some guy in Denmark, though, who had more subscribers at the time. I don't know. All I know is he had made a really big deal about it at the time. And yeah, I met him. We were at the Courtyard Hotel in Marriott, or the Courtyard Marriott. Yeah, it was the Courtyard Marriott in Plano. Jason, I think, went to the bathroom, and Andrew and I were just talking, and we were just exploring random buildings in the area before, and he just kind of said, well, do you want to go into elevators? Do you want to keep doing this, or do you want to eventually branch out into other things? And, I told him, honestly, at this point, I can't say I want to keep doing this forever. I think that eventually I'll want to branch out, and that time is closer than it was before. And he told me, start looking into other interests. It's never too late. You can always change your interests. Don't worry about retaliation, because you wouldn't want those people on your channel anyways if they're just expecting one thing of you. So, for me, that was some solid advice. Sometimes you just need someone who's, lived life and gone through these things before you to tell you, yeah, this is how it works. And later on in a phone call about 2 months afterwards, I think, he basically said, like, yeah, do what makes you happy. If you, like, don't just go into a job of your first interest, because if you do, you're going to hate it. And then he gave me an example of how he loved trains as a kid, and now he hates them because he works on them. So, solid advice, honestly. That really, honestly, I think was what really set that boulder down the hill more than that hotel review. That kind of put things in motion and got us going. Obviously, later on, we met again in 2020, and he basically told me, well, if hotels are your interest, yeah, you should go for it. If you feel it's something you're passionate about, take it and run. See where you can go. And that was some of the best advice I've ever gotten. I'm so grateful to where I am today. I think Andrew saw that, I had potential to do more than just elevators, and he set me in the right direction. And I still appreciate that to this day. It's not something that, I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, that was another moment in life. Because no, it was actually a very important stepping stone in my life. The other communities also what helped me find the Hilton Anatole. I don't think I've ever told people the real reason why I find that place so significant, but pretty much, in 2017, I wasn't exactly in the brightest state of mind, even back then. But the Hilton Anatole instilled hope in me. Because honestly, I didn't think such a place could exist. I had dreamt of places like that in the past, but I was like, there is no way a place like this with two different types of architectures, giant atriums, and pristine 1970s decor would be around today. Like, there was no way. Then I stepped foot in the Anatole. And my life was changed, honestly. For me, just seeing something like, yeah, things are, to me, it just kind of instilled in my mind, yeah, things are possible. Nothing, even if you think it's impossible, it's possible. And that ever since had been a motivator for me, and that's what ultimately got me into the hotel career and wanting to instill hospitality, honestly. So it was a very big moment in my life. Back then, it didn't seem like much, but obviously it's now spanned into quite a bit, and I even love this name so much, Anatole, that's my name now. So a lot's happened since that day. And I think finally, the last positive thing was you guys as an audience. You guys have been amazing, supportive, and have been with me every step along the way. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. It doesn't matter if you joined yesterday or if you've been here since day one. I appreciate your support wholeheartedly, and thank you guys so much for joining me in this adventure. I know that more recently, things have been all over the place. And no, we're not settling down anytime soon. So it's still going to go on. I'm really excited to see where we go with all this stuff. You guys have been amazing, and I'm sure you'll continue to be amazing. You guys are truly an exception. Most of the audiences on these elevator channels are terrible. Or they just cause drama, or they just, you guys have always been supportive. It's truly been an honor to have you guys along for the ride. I really do appreciate you guys again. And yeah, that concludes the video here. I hope that answered all of your questions. If not, it is an open Q&A. Feel free to ask down below or send me a contact form. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, unless it's something I can't answer, in which case I'll just tell you, sorry, can't answer that. Yeah, so that's all. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Probably not in fursuit, though. Unless you guys want it. Remember, comment below if you want it. And that's all.